welcome to another episode of War Hero to Superhero, trying to find my camera balance, helping military veterans and first responders transform their lives from the bedroom to the boardroom. I am your host, Daniel Faust. Quick little announcement, if you're wondering where Michelle Faust is, Michelle's been more of a entrepreneur, only sold jobs, and doesn't have much experience in the boardroom, so is best suited, at least for this week, for her to not go over and be in the live. She wanted to make sure she was giving the best value. So more on that when we go over and work out next week for interviews in the following week. But if you never joined us before, I am one of your hosts, Boardroom, virtually speaking. And this month's theme is we gotta have fun. And gotta have fun in boardroom might not be sensible for you to go over and think about. So we're first going to come from the approach today about why don't we have fun in the boardroom? Because the average person from, let's just round them to 21, because some people start 18, some people start 21 or 25, but on average, we are working in the boardroom for 40 years. That's a long time when you start thinking about it, right? I'm almost 40 years old. I've been working since I was 16. You do the math, I've already had 24 years in the quote unquote boardroom. The average person is going to work 2,000 days. So do the math. It's about 10,000 days. Oh, I did the math way off on that one. Not 10,000 days. 2,000 days average a year times that by 10, it's 20,000. You're actually going to do 80,000 days. So we're going to skip all the math because I got that wrong today. But outside of sleep, we spend the majority of our adult life at work. 40 years is a long time. 2,000 work days a year. And then you take that and times it by 10, that's 80,000 work days. I mean, am I doing the math right? Yeah, 20. Yeah, 80,000 work days. No, 2,000 work days every, no, I'm sorry. I'm doing the math. I does the math right. Anyway, who cares about the math? It's just a long, long time, you know? You don't do math when you're super tired. I don't recommend that. So outside of sleep, which I need, we spend the majority of our adult lives at work. And what are we doing? We're trading dollars to hours. Literally, you make $15 an hour, you're trading that for roughly $30,000 a year. You make $50 an hour, you're making $100,000. Are you actually taking that home? Not really. And when you retire, your pay goes down to 1/2 to 1/3 of your max pay on average, unless you were a great investor and you diversified and you knew when to invest in the GameStop, in Bitcoin, as I've been hearing recently, and everything else, and all these other investments. The average American, the average person around the world is not going to retire with a ton of money. About 60 to 78%, depending on what country you're in, is going to be under $100,000. So we're not going to be super ballers even with going over retiring, but that's not the point. But something that you do need to have in work, no matter if you make $10 an hour or $10,000 an hour, fun is essential to thrive in life. And you're probably saying to yourself, that's just weird for me. That doesn't make sense. Or when people go have those social events, I'm all not involved in those types of things, talking at the water cooler, going over laughing and joking, everything of that nature. If you are the person that says fun and work doesn't compute, then we're going to just talk about that on why you should have fun. But today we're going to talk about why don't we have fun? Why is it we're getting stressed out, burned out, everything else? People are jumping out of jobs, going over and after the COVID shift. We're starting to get out there. We're not wearing masks as much as we used to. I'm starting to see those shifts right now. It's a little awkward, but people are not going to have more fun. The events are starting to turn back on. We're probably going to get out to theaters and go to events, and Memorial Day is coming up shortly and everything else. So fun is essential to thrive in life, not just when you have a holiday. So, but the question is that for work that you're investing all those hours, which I miscalculated, I'm sorry about that. Why is that not true? We're going to go through some roadblocks that we went over and saw why work is not fun. And today we're going to talk about the roadblocks on why work might not be fun for you, or maybe not fun in the past, or maybe not fun in the future. So you can go over and start getting past those roadblocks so you can go over and thrive. Because if you're not having fun, you're going to be like this situation. I'm going to give you a flashback. It was about between 2016 and 2018, I used to travel across the nation, going from boardroom to boardroom, conference room to conference room, going teaching topics like management, supervisory, how to go over into take care of your first person, how to go over and to not deal with arguments and conflict resolution, those types of courses. I taught through 2 or 3 major vendors. So some vendors would send me across the road and I would be there for days. Other times I would go in and I'm literally seeing you once in your life to go over and teach on this concept. So in this particular regard, I had a woman that went over and basically it was in San Francisco at the time. The projector broke, got another projector, got all set up, was teaching basically how to deal with stress and difficult people. Went through the first section, got through, finally got the projector up and rolling, got the books, got the water, got everything else, got everything up and rolling. Break happens. This woman comes up to me, and I wish I could remember her name, but I don't. And it was just outside of San Francisco. She's like, yeah, I want to thank you for this class. I'm learning a lot of great wisdom and nuggets and everything else. I wish my coworker was here. And I'm thinking, like, you can invite her. This company goes over and does corporate events, and we go over and we do deep discounts when you have multiple people. She's like, she couldn't come today. She had a heart attack. We only have one life to live. No matter which way you calculate the time in seconds or minutes or miscalculate it all, we don't get that opportunity to go over and make up the work. And we definitely don't get a chance to go make up the fun. So the fun is going to carry you. So let's go talk about the roadblocks today. And then tomorrow, we're going to expand on how to break those roadblocks. And then on Saturday, early morning, we're going to do it at 9 because I have a client at 10. That at 9 o'clock, we're going to talk about ways to go incorporate fun, no matter if you're virtual or if you're going physical. And if you got anything to add that your ideas of having fun or the roadblocks or anything else, always remember this is a dialogue, never a monologue. You can interact on Facebook, interact on YouTube, interact on Twitch. Go put it in the chat right now. We see all the comments that are over there. That's why my eyes are always everywhere, because I am my own little studio. So let's get into it saying, why is it not true? The first roadblock, this one, I don't think comes up as often, but you tell me, at least in my family life, it came up with my wife, is roadblock number 1. You don't know how to. You're just in there, you're grinding on a task, work is that particular way. You go over and that's the same thing in your life, no matter where it's at. It's like everything is a task. So if you register a task, I'd love to have you to put a heart emoji on there. If you register that work is a task and I just not concerned about fun, I'm concerned about the task. So maybe that's your first roadblock, is you just don't know how to. You get into the environment and you're just grinding all day. And then you realize 8 hours just went away or 10 hours went away, because the average person works between 8 to 10 hours a day. You just don't know how to. Maybe that's your first roadblock. If you don't register with that, maybe this one that happens to most of us. Roadblock number 2, you don't like the job. You might even put your expletive word or hate or venomous else. I've been in 70 jobs from 2012 to 2019 until I got into this job on the military side in 2019. So you go over and you get into a job and you're like, you think it's going to be great. You get the interview, you get the cost and everything else. And then you find out, ooh, you don't like it. Like I did cleaning, for example. I used to work for a cleaning company. It was a contract cleaning company. I used to go from house to house to house. I thought this is a great side hustle. I'm going to like this job and everything else. Nope. Because first off, you're going over and you're getting the list that says, hey, this is what you need to clean. And then secondarily, then you get the person's list in the app, and then you have to verify everything else. And then I didn't have enough time to go over and do that. And then at the end of the day, I didn't have to pay my own taxes. So if I did a 4-hour clean, I actually made more money on a 1-hour clean than I made on a 4-hour clean. My 4-hour cleans, I was getting, $60, but I'm getting on a 1-hour clean $20. I'm like, wait a second, I'm getting paid less for going over and doing a deeper, longer clean, and now I have to commute back and forth. Yeah, I didn't like the job. So you might be that person that's gone over and you got into the job, and maybe that's the reason why you're not having fun, is that you don't go over and like the job. So if you register don't like the job, go over and put a number 2 in the chat. Just go put a number 2. If that's your roadblock for having fun, is that you just don't like the job, or maybe you hate the job, or you've venomously gone over and just like every day you're just like, when is the day that it will be over? Maybe that's your roadblock for going over and not having fun. Roadblock number 3, I would consider this as most of the time, no matter what the job you go over and get, is you don't like the people. You might be working with them virtually, you might be working with them physically, you might be working on a hybrid, and you don't like the people. Maybe it's the people group on how they go over and act. Maybe it's a specific person that you don't go over and like. Maybe it's how they interact with you or how they interact in the boardroom. Or maybe it's their conduct, or maybe it's something that they do or something that they don't do, or whatever it is. That roadblock number 3 is you don't like people, like the people. Maybe if you don't like people, that's a different thing, but maybe you don't like the people that you're working with. If you register with that, go over and put number 3 in the chat. Maybe that's your roadblock of having fun, is that you don't like the people that you're currently working with. And it's okay to go over and say that, because I've had moments that I don't like the people. I'm trying to see if I remember a job that is, it was a fast food place. I won't get into names of where it was. The first fast food place I really liked. I got transferred from one location to another, and then I didn't like the people. It's not like I personally didn't get along with them, and it wasn't venomous and anything else. It was just like the way they did things were totally different than the last location. You think as a location that has multiple locations, in a sense of how they do things, you think it would be, hey, this is this. But I didn't like how the person and people were going over and delivering things. So for me, I didn't like the people. So that was my roadblock there. Roadblock number 4. This one is probably pretty common in this one there, outside of the people, because once you get to a certain amount of money, that's great. But the roadblock, maybe you not having happiness, is you don't like the pay. I've been in several jobs ranging from $10 an hour up until about, I got offered about, I think, $250,000. It didn't last long, but, I've been in all different types of jobs. But, when you get into those lower paying jobs, or maybe a job you think that needs to be paid more, most people, I can't remember the statistics in the Gallup poll, but it was a good percentage of people that go over and don't like their pay. It's not as much as like the overall people and everything else, but pay is an issue. If you're struggling at home and you're going over and grinding on a job, I remember in Arkansas, I worked like 6 jobs at once. I had like the reserve, had like an IT job, had like a grocery store job. I think I had like 3 other side hustles I was earning money from. They were more asynchronous jobs, or I'd do project-based jobs throughout the weeks that I was off the job that was the major contributor job. And I wish I could remember the other 3, but I don't anymore. But I was doing that. I didn't like the pay, from going from those certain jobs. I mean, the grocery store job, it was like, I liked the job, but the pay wasn't worth it. They were literally paying minimum wage. And this grocery store is not a typical grocery store. I love the brand of the grocery store, but at that time, they didn't pay that much. So it wasn't the job itself. It was the pay. I'm like, I really like the people. I really like the environment. The job was, quote unquote, not too complicated. It was tedious, what I was doing in the grocery store. But the thing is that I didn't like the pay. And it can make it hard to go have fun because you're focused on the pay is not enough. So if you register, you don't like the pay, go put number 4 in the chat. So again, if these things are questionable and you're thinking like other people are watching, it's okay. You don't have to put anything in the chat. So I don't want you going over and losing your job and saying why you're not having fun at work. You know what I'm saying? We'll talk about tips to go over and to get past these roadblocks tomorrow. So, but if you feel comfortable to go over and chat, maybe it's like you didn't like the pay in a past job. Maybe that'd be a little safer to talk about. All right, roadblock number 5. Your environment squashes the fun. You ever have somebody or a particular system that they go over and do, and they don't want to have fun, they don't want to have morale events, or if you try to make something fun? Me and my wife, the last job we worked before coming here was a factory-based job. And that factory-based job was very tedious. It was long 12-hour days. We made good money. We liked the people that were directly next to us that we were working to in that particular garden. And there was a lot of people in that factory. I don't think in COVID as many as there is, but at the time we had 400 people that were typically on both shifts. So you had a couple hundred people that you were working with. So you had a constant environment, different people, but they were worried about productivity and they were really concerned about quarter earnings. So when we went over and tried to make games or have fun or do those types of things, they were squashing that fun. It was like, we try to make figurines or different things of the different configurations we were putting on the plates then to go to the next place because they were getting taken too quickly. They literally said, don't go over and do that. And it's like, and then if you took too long to go to the bathroom or talking in restroom and stuff like that, they just literally like back to work. Some people thrived in that. And that was fun. But for other people, it was not. So for us, that environment squashes the fun. Is that your roadblock, going over and not having fun at work? So if you feel comfortable, put 5 in the chat. And again, you maybe it's a past job, depending on, our social media world. So maybe number 5 is that. Number 6, you have too many demands. This one, I remember specifically this particular job I had. So I was working for a government job. I've only had 2 government jobs. So my first government job, I was super excited at first because the funny part was I never expected this type of job. I never expected this much pay from a government job. And I thought, I got to have a master's degree to go over and have this. Well, I guess my military experience plus my background and everything else got me into the job. So I walked into the thing really super quick and got the job. But when I got into the job, about a week or 2 into the job, and I only worked it for about 3 months, and they're like, oh, this job is encompassing of 50, not kidding you, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 50 additional duties. Then to create continuity for these things that didn't exist, so myself or whoever else does this in future would exist. The scary part of the thing is the job wasn't a permanent job. The job was only a year term position. And then once I had a year under me, then I could walk into the next level. If you know the GS system, you gotta be a certain level for so long, and then you can jump. Now you can jump up to 2 levels, up until you get to an 11. And then when you get to a 12, it's only 1 per year. So it was going to be an 8 to a 9 to an 11. So within like 2 years, I would have been going from the term to the perm and then the perm to an 11. And I would have got to do like instructional design and courses and different things and could have and interact with the public and everything else. But getting past those 50 additional duties was too much. I went out and I had to go over and help my reserve unit. I helped them for 3 weeks for a certain exercise and whatnot. And the next thing I know, I come back and my computer's gone. And they said, hey, they called me into the office after I found my computer and they said, hey, you're making errors. And I'm like, yeah. I said, you made an error here. And I'm like, okay, yeah. They're like, we caught it. I said, I wasn't hiding it. And then they said, well, my boss found out. And if you make another error, we're going to have to let you go. And I'm like, I have too many demands to go over and to not make an error. And I definitely wasn't having fun. So for that particular job, I went over and then left. So maybe that's your roadblock, is that you're having too many demands there. Doesn't mean you have to leave. We're going to talk about more suggestions tomorrow and that type of thing. But maybe that's your roadblock for going over and having fun. So our last roadblock is fill in the blank. This one goes over and lets you go over and think of which roadblock or roadblocks goes over and prevents you from having fun. Because our heart here is when you know what causes the problem, you'll then start finding the solution. Because if you don't know what you don't know, you just stay stuck. And many people can go over and stay stuck. We don't want you to be stuck for 40 years, 5 years, 10 years, 2 years, 1 year, even if we can avoid it one day, to be stuck in a problem that is causing you undue stress. I do not want to go over and hear that one of you went over and died because of work thought-based stress or had a heart attack in what nature. We have too many of those already. It's like one of the top 5 things in the world that we have is heart attack and then cancer. And we don't know where COVID lies in the numbers. At least I don't. If you do, great. But if we can go over and know what the roadblock or problem is, then you can start going and finding the solution. And that's what it is about this week, is that we're always solution focused at War Hero to Superhero. We just don't want you just to sit here and to be stuck. No matter if you're stuck in the boardroom, going over and not having fun, going over in the bedroom, not having fun, or in the living room, or some other myriad of topics from communications to intimacy to finances, whatever it is. We want to help you go over and find out what causes the problem, then the solution can go over and come. That was a mouthful of words. So our superhero challenge to you today is to grab a paper. I know it's foreign for you. If you're like military like me, and again, or a retiree, or you're everything else, you can use stickies. Grab a paper, grab a pack of stickies, go over and use your whiteboard, whatever it is in your house, even if it's a napkin, go grab a paper and grab this handy dandy thing called a pen. The younger generation, I don't know if you're going to see this. There we go. This is a pen. It goes over and writes. It's an amazing thing because when you write stuff down, it's more powerful. I know video is very impactful on SEO, but sometimes you have to go old school to go make some change, huh? So go grab yourself a paper and pen or a pencil or a marker or crayon or whatever you want to go and write on, and start thinking of your roadblocks. And ask your 3 levels of why that roadblock exists. Just don't go over and say the roadblock is you don't know how to, and then you don't ask why you don't know how to. And then when you get that answer of why, go deeper and go that 2nd level of why, go in that 3rd level of why when you get the why answers. When you usually dig a couple of layers deep, you find out that nugget of truth on why that roadblock is truly a roadblock. You might go find out it's a mindset issue. You might go find out you didn't go over and ask, and maybe that's why the roadblock's there. You might go over and find out that it's a thought-based issue, or you go over, maybe it's something from your past or whatever it is. Be prepared tomorrow to start finding the solution. We're going to help you walk through some of those things on how to go help the solution. But the thing is that it's you are the most powerful tool to go over and to break those roadblocks. We can always come in and go over and help and consult, but at the end of the day, that you are the most powerful tool to go break those roadblocks because you are an awesome person. So I want to thank you for going over and joining us on War Hero Superhero, that every single week that we provide you great content from the bedroom to the boardroom. If you're struggling in the boardroom, no matter if it's virtual or physical, contact us. We give 20 minutes free to every single military veteran and first responder, your first time going over. And if you need to go over and take your message, if you've already gone through this stuff and you don't need the help, but you want to take your message to the next level, get back with me. Because we have now started a media house called Legrity Media that takes your legacy, your integrity, and global community message to the next level, past the noise. This is a starting point. We want to get you to the ending point, no matter where you're at in your message. So we want to thank you for going over and joining us. We love to go and connect. Again, this is always, 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 always a dialogue, never a monologue. You put a comment in there, we're going to go answer either through in-person live or after the video. So thank you all for watching. You guys have a great day, and we will catch you on the flip side. Thanks.